And it says, Shmu, and it says, ואחרי כן יבואו הלוויים לעבוד את אוהל מועד, and after that, the Leviim will come to work in the Ohel, in Ohel Moed, ותיארת אותם, והנפת אותם תנופה, and then you're going to purify them. So I understand, excuse me, I understand, so can I get some drink? I understand if a person, before he comes to do some work that is involved with holiness, he needs to be purified. But why does the other one? Why do you need to purify them after they do the avodah? By the way, this shiur is לעילוי נשמת בכור בן פניר וגם שלמה בן ביתי. תהיה נשמתם צורה בצור החיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל So, because we already said before, קח את הלוויים מתוך בני ישראל ותיארת אותם. So it already said it. Why do we need to do it again? וכה תעשה להם לטהרה, and that's what you should do, לטהרם. הזה עליהם מי חטאת, they should sprinkle the special water of the red heifer. והעבירו טהר על כל בשרם, and they should with a razor shave all the hair of the body. וכיבסו בגדיהם והתארו. And they should wear clean garments, and then they're going to be purified. So why do we need, again, the word tahara? Why do we need this? More than that the previous tahara, as we say, was before the avodah, which is quite understood and quite clear. So why do we need avodah chal tahara? That's a very peculiar question. I mean, this is one of the things that we read, in the Torah week after week, year after year, and don't pay attention to it. We think it's just like words. And maybe it's the time to really look at the parashiot a little different. In other words, look at the parashiot from a grammatic point of view. If it's a statement that makes sense, it doesn't make sense, try to come up with a reason. Otherwise, you're just reading something and you don't relate to it, and it becomes like strange to you. Of course, that is so far from the truth as east is from west. And we need to see. Interesting, the Netziv writes in Sefer Ha'amek Davar something amazing. And he says like this, Chazar le'azir ha'lata'ara. The Pasuk warned us again on purity. Why? This is amazing. Ki ma'alat avodat HaKodesh. Guys, this is for you guys. This is for guys who learn Torah every single day. These are for the people who feel bursts of holiness, and if you ever wonder why after, they feel all the way down. He writes, Ki ma'alat avodat HaKodesh. The advantage that doing something holy, that lifts you up, כשם שהיא מגביה לב, as much as it lifts you up internally, in, of course, דרכי Hashem, and so on and so forth, כך יש להיזהר. One needs to be careful, שלא תוסיף מכשול, that is not to become a stumbling block, על ידי גאווה על שאר בני אדם, that you're not going to feel superior to the rest of the people. You're going to feel better than everybody else. וחילול השם באיזה עברה קטנה, קלה, and there's going to be a tremendous חילול השם like that. You feel that you are enlightened, and then everybody next to you is dark. You feel that I saw the light, and look at these people in the darkness. You feel good about yourself. So comes the Netziv, וגם כל הגדול מחברו. We also know, the Chazal told us, whoever is greater than his friend, yitzro gadol alav. So you are going up in holiness. You should be aware that you're becoming a better target for the Yetzer Hara. I explained to somebody, he used to come to Yeshiva, And when he came to Yeshiva, it was amazing. He brought me, and he told me he's going to be here today, but I guess he ate at home. He doesn't want to eat this wonderful food that we have here. He brought with himself a lot of people. And then all of a sudden he stopped. And together with him, everybody else. So I said to him the following. If you are an insignificant person, the Yetzer Hara doesn't bother with you. It's useless, not tzarich. But if you're a person that has an ability to influence other people to come to learn to do the right thing, now the Yetzer Hara marked you as a target. Now you're becoming a figure that he needs to go after, because if you're going to influence 10 people and you're going to bring them in, those 10 people are going to influence another 10 people. And it's going to be already 100 people. Like this. And before you know, it's 1,000 people. And before you know, it's 10,000 people. We start a whole entire movement. So the Yetzer Hara says, listen, I know what to do. I'm going to call it a spiritual assassination. I'm going to eliminate this guy. I'll do a whole bunch of tricks. Make sure this guy doesn't come. He doesn't come, the other rest of the people don't come. And we need to understand that. So when you are going up in spirituality, you need to be aware that now you have a big Yetzer Hara. And you need to be very careful preparing yourself for that. Don't think that if you're strong, let's say for example, let's say you go in and you work out and you lift weights and you become so strong and wonderful and so on and so forth. And you got yourself a black belt, a second degree black belt. Don't think that from this point on you don't have to practice. Because now you become a bigger target. Now people know that you have a black belt, they're going to try to get after you, to prove that they're better than you. The same thing works with the Yetzer Hara. So that's what Chazal tells us. And all of a sudden you're going to find to do things that for other people is not a big deal, but for you it's considered to be an avera. ונמצא קרבה לקדושה גורם לטומאה. And that closeness to holiness also brought with it a chance for impurity. Because now you mess it up, the whole thing falls apart. וכמו שאירע באמת אחר כך לקורח, and that's exactly what happened afterwards to Korach and the other Leviim, that, and we know what's the end of the story with that. Until today we're suffering for this. שגדולתם היא הכשלתם. What was the stumbling block in their way was their greatness. Their greatness. And even if we said to Nadav and Avihu, the same, they were great and then they fell. So you need to be careful. Al ken. He says, Ba Azara. The warning comes. Le'achar sheyavdu et oel moed. That after they're going to work in the how do you call that moed?
The tent of meeting?
No, tent of meeting. The
Tabernacle?
Tabernacle. That's it. Other one. Right? Iyu nizarim betahara lefi arkam. They have to be now very careful with purity after they work, because now they're vulnerable. You're vulnerable. When you think that you won, that's when you become vulnerable. You always need to be ready. As I sent you this link today from this lady, and I hope you watched it all, and please forward it. And she said something amazing. What's her name? Brigitte, Gabrielle, whatever her name is. I think Brigitte, right? Brigitte, yeah. Oh, kohanenu, kohanecha. I hope you're hungry. Yalla, b'chavod. Texas? What'd you say? So I know. I'm just busting his chops. So she said that the caliphate that was defeated, that were ruled for 1400 years, around 1917, was finished. The people think it's over. It's not. ISIS came right back. And as she explained about the importance of September 11 into that fate. I think you should watch it and watch it again, and please send it to all your friends and whatever it is. Friends and fans. Flora and fauna. Yeah. So, just when you think it's over, you got to watch out. Why? Because the Tanakh tells us, Al hithalel choger kemefatech. If you still have the sword on you, you maybe won the battle, but it's an ongoing war. Don't celebrate like a person who already won the war. Al hithalel choger, a person who has a sword, kemefatech, a person who actually untied his sword and put it down. So, at this chance, I would like to take the opportunity to, first of all, thank the Vigo family, but I also would like to thank our dear friend Karen and our dear friend Mike. Mike is amazing, and I would like to send a big shout out to Shlomo that we haven't seen, and to George that we haven't seen. Hi, George. I need some medicine. So, as we said, Avodat HaKodesh, doing holy work, lifts the person up. It brings you up. So, one hand, it brings you up spiritually, and other hand, you can actually fall down. A person that became close to the holy, or elevate himself in the levels of holiness, could make a mistake, Rabotai, and the biggest mistake is chet ha'ga'ava, arrogance. And therefore, it is something that we all need to pay attention to see how we're going to actually figure it out. That's why we need to purify before you enter the work, the holy work, and after. And that's why it says, ואחר כן יבואו הלוויים לעבוד באוהל מועד וטיהרתם אותם. And then you purify them after that. Well, the first tahara was a condition for them to enter the holy domain or perimeter. The tahara after the avodah was again a warning for the Leviim as a result for being so close to that, and then they will bring upon themselves chataim. And of course, that a person's elevation when he brings himself higher. Now, these are different challenges that you're used to. You have to be very careful. That's why, you find people and what we call the machmir. Now, I want to give you a totally different view to a person who is machmir. On a person who just takes upon himself stringencies, there are two ways. One that knows there's he has absolutely no control. He has no control, right? Of course, we're talking about he's normal, so he's going to put himself whatever he can obstacles so he would not roll all the way down. However, there are other people that they take the stringencies upon themselves because they elevated themselves slowly, but in a trajectory up. Now, for something that for us is nothing, for them is a big thing. For them is a big thing. And we need to understand that. On that, Chazal told us, En ha'ma'aretz chasid. A person that doesn't know, those stringencies don't apply to him. They seem like something that's choking him. If a person feels that the mitzvot, whether midoraita or midarabanan, are weights on his neck or on his back, well, it's a first indication that the guy is ignorant, is an amaretz. Because if he would have learned, he would ask, I want to do more. I need to understand that. I want to do more. So, and these are the challenges. Now you got to be careful. We know the story with the Ari. That the Ari saw one time he told the Maharchu, he saw one time on Shabbat, and the Shema of a big Chassid, a big person, was a righteous person, coming to him dressed in black. So he said to him, "No, why are you wearing black? What's out?" So he said, "I was just elevated up to another level, to a higher level in Olam Haba. And one time I drank some sand with my sandal on Shabbat." So he said to him, "Wow, for that? It's halacha brura. Psik resha de lo nichale." Right? Nobody intentionally carries sand. He said, "You're right. However, at the level that I'm at, that is considered to be an avera." Well, it's the same thing like when you go to the army. So a regular soldier expected to do his job. But the higher you go in your abilities, like you're becoming a ranger, you're becoming a Delta Force. Over there, first of all, the ultimate test will be the truth. That's a very difficult thing to do. How good of a reporter are you? How dedicated are you? If you don't have it, and over there, for little things, they'll toss you out. Something that somewhere else you'll be like, you'll get a medal. Over there, they'll toss you out. Same thing here. So these are the challenges. Now you know. Now that you know, you can't say, I close my eyes. Now you know. And that goes the same thing to Chalav Israel. That goes to Halachot Yichud. It goes to million different things. Why? Because we'll see later on the connection maybe between Tahara and what exactly Tahara is. It's a little bit, we don't know what Tahara is. The Zohar explained to us that the world in which we live in is divided into two. Divided into two. And that's the one that we see and the one that we don't, that is not revealed to us to the eyes. And these two worlds, and we live in this duality. Constantly, all the time. And so, however, the problem is that most of us are not really aware that we are living in these two dimensions. We think that everything that I do is only in this world, not understanding that my shoresh neshama is not disconnected from its root. When the neshama comes to this world, right? You know those trees that they just bring branches and then the branches become roots. Those branches are not disconnected from the root. So in other words, I'm connected somewhere, spiritually to the other world. And I need to be aware of what I'm doing as much as I need to be aware here in this world. When I'm crossing the street or I'm not crossing the street, when I'm doing this or I'm doing that, I need to be aware of my actions in the other world as well. Because it does exist. And that is the importance, for example, of you coming to learn. You don't see it. I say, okay, I didn't come to learn. Okay, it's a big deal. One day I miss learning. But do you know that maybe that day is what will cause and guarantee your great-grandkid not only to learn, but to be Jewish? Your actions resonate. They mean something. So if you're aware of that, there's no room for slacking. You are on active duty all the time. You're on active duty all the time. You are waiting for a call to go to action. You view yourself like a dingbat, like anybody else in the street, or like a special ops. You are like Delta Force, waiting for a call all the time. Walking in civilian clothes, but you are waiting for a call. What are you? A warrior? Or a loser? There's no such thing. People tell me, "Oh, Rabbi, I'm a lover, not a fighter." No such thing. You got to be a fighter. If you don't fight, you lose. Those who don't fight lose. That's it. So we need to be aware of this duality that we live in. and that we do have, and we do need to acknowledge that we have a body and we have a soul, a neshama. Now, a person inside of him, internally, is a spiritual entity, and the purpose of a person, of a Jew, and a person, a purpose, is really to connect between these two worlds, Olam HaEmet, the world of truth, which is spirituality, with the world of illusion, which is the material, which is here. Thank you, Motek. Thank you so much. And that connection is done when we make that kesher, that tie. Practically, we need to, by becoming aware of it. You can't connect the spiritual from the non-spiritual by not being aware. What's his name? David. Moshe, come sit closer to me. Shmuel, come closer. And that is the chidush of the Zohar. That's what the Zohar says. That unlike other spiritual, dogmas out there in the world, the spiritual world, according to Judaism, is not in the heaven, but rather here in earth. And in a way, we need to give every item, every object, and every action a spiritual phase to it, a spiritual dimension to it. This is a cup. But all of a sudden, if you look at it and you do something good with it, it's not just a cup. If you fill it up with wine and you make a bracha, that becomes a kos shel bracha. You make kiddush with it. It's just not a cup. Things take meaning. They have meaning. Now let me drink. So, this is, for example, the mitzvot that we have. The mitzvot were given to us to connect between the two worlds. Because the mitzvah, the meaning of the word mitzvah, according to the Zohar, is from tzavta. Tzavta means together. In Aramaic, tzavta means together. And that connection, that chibur, was meant to help us connect between the upper worlds to this world. Now, it depends how pure and how intentful your action in Nasiyat mitzvot. That's how high you're able to go out and to penetrate the heavens. The higher, the purer you get, the higher the world you're able to go. So really you could do such mitzvot, and that's why we call it lishma, that goes all the way under kisei hakavod, under the holy throne of God. And that's an amazing thought. In other words, Judaism sanctifies this world. A person must be involved with this world in order to be holy. A person does not become holy if he goes to a cave and meditates for 50 years in front of the rock until a point that his face kind of merges into the rock. No, that does not happen. A person takes all the actions, the mundane actions, and sanctifies them. That's why the whole concept of being a monk in Judaism does not exist. We eat, but different. We have relations, yes, but different. Everything should be different. Now, for those of us, and I understand it's very hard to be a Jew. Everybody hates you. So I understand that. But that should be the fuel that will make you become better. Don't let those haters put you down and step on you. You use that hatred, you use this difficulty to become better, stronger. Don't be afraid of anyone. לא לפחד. אסור, נכון. You know why? Because I'm good. That's why. Should be afraid of me because I'm good. You're absolutely correct. So now, now, and why is that? Because in Judaism, as I told you before, the biggest curse that you can curse a person is ben bliyal. Ben bliyal, a purposeless person. You don't curse his mother. You don't curse this. You don't wish him chas v'shalom to die. You call him, you are useless. Ben bli yal, a son without a purpose. That's the biggest curse. Do we have a purpose? What do we have? What gives our life purpose? Okay? So now, in Judaism, we have been measured according to the combination of ma'aseh, of action, lekavana, to intent. Okay? Because otherwise, an action without an intent, it's like a body without a soul. It's like almost at the level of an animal. We operate through instincts, not through logic. So, if you want to elevate yourself spiritually, really higher is putting an intent, achnasat kavana, putting an intent, or call it this way, putting a neshama in any one of your actions. So the Zohar and the Gemara teaches us, because the Torah has one only purpose, which is a cure for Yetzer Hara. So when you learn Torah, you keep the tradition and so on and so forth. You have to also put a kavanah to it, so there would be a slingshot to push you out as a catapult, to catapult you out further, up higher, because you don't want to be selfish. You need to contribute. If not, even learning Torah, if you don't have the proper kavanah, even learning Torah could become an aspect of becoming egocentric and selfishness. So one needs to understand that. And that is a place like this of selfishness. That's called in terms of the Zohar, it's called death. Because you're losing the purpose of why you came here. You basically dead. There's no purpose to you. So a person who is connected to love, is connected to doing, appreciates the fact that he was born a Jew and he was given the opportunity, accepts that, and now he does whatever he can in his power to connect and do and act about and to bring it. Now, and that's, by the way, for us, ultimately, the only way we can connect to Ein Sof, we can connect to Ribono Shel Olam. So therefore, standing in challenges and what we have, those challenges that we have, and now you look at the Leviim, which going to, you might maybe not understand, to bring you up higher. And so after the Tahara, you see, and that's what he says, V'tiartam v'tanifam, right? So after you're going to pure them, you lehanif. Lehanif is to lift. So after the initial Tahara, the second Tahara, then comes the lift up. So the mistake that people think is like this. I'm going to have a spiritual elevation. I'm coming to do the mitzvah. I'm coming with the koach. I need to purify myself. Oh, I'm good. I did the mitzvah. I'm good. No. The real aliyah comes later on when you start to realize how lucky you are that you are able to get the mitzvah. The real elevation is with the purity that comes after you did the maaseh. After. Not before. After. So, because it says, V'tiarta otam ve'inafta otam tnufa, and tnufa is an expression for spiritual elevation and uplifting. So when later on, when they're going to work in the Mishkan, right, it says, Yosifu la'alot u'la'anif et da'atam le'idiyat Hashem ve'ahavato. Later on, after they're going to work in the Mishkan, only then they will be able to spread the love of Hashem to other people, and that's what's going to give them the ultimate spiritual elevation. And it's the same thing. You come into yeshiva to learn. You learn. Yafi, nu chazak u'baruch, hakol tov v'yafeh. But when do you really get the tremendous spiritual kick? Only when you do something for someone else. When you cause someone else to come, or you teach someone else. And when you teach someone else, all of a sudden, you would see such miracles in terms of like siyata d'shamaya for your understanding. People are going to ask you questions that you say, Ribono Shel Olam, how do I answer it? And before you know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts the answer in your mouth. And that is what it is. You came here to learn. You came here to the Kodesh. So before you come to Beit HaMidrash, you need to purify yourself. Now you're doing the Avodat HaKodesh. Now you're learning. And after you come out of here, the real Tahara is going to be later on when you're going to be careful and you're going to bring other people to come and learn. So, if you're going to look at the root of the word Tahara, which is Tet, Hey, Resh, Tahar, it's very close, because in Aramaic, the certain letters, and in Hebrew also, certain letters interchange. So Tahar v'Zahar is the same thing. It's very, very similar. And in Hebrew also, Tzahar, Tahar, Zahar, very similar. So, when we say the word Tahar, pure, so it means clean, it means clear, or for example, Tzahar, Tzohoraim, means light. In the Tzohoraim, in midday, there's the most light of the day. So, and then you could see everything. So, Tahor really means to be clean, clean and clear, right? But really completely crystal clear from any selfishness that would alter your view of the world. When you are selfish, oh my goodness, it's very, very difficult. And for that, the Torah warned us. Chazal warned us, and they say, "Le'olam lo ya'aseh adam b'Torah kardom lachpor ba." Never use the Torah as a vehicle for your own selfish purposes. So that is a tremendous level of selfishness, and that's what we need to do. If you want to have a clear sight of the world, you want to know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from you, don't be selfish. Now you should know that the word achur is the opposite of tzalul. Achur means not clear. Achur is also the same letters of what? Kaur. Kaur is mechoar, is ugly. So the now you can also understand the Jewish concept of beauty. The Jewish concept of beauty, when we say Eshet chayil miimtza sheker achen ve'evel hayofi, beauty is for the fools. The real beauty, what? Isha yirat Hashem hitit halal. A woman who has fear of Shamayim, that's the real beauty. Not if she is blonde or she is red or whatever, I don't know, eyes like this or whatever it is. בדיוק ככה, זה בלבול מוח. That's not what the real concept of Jewish beauty is. Jewish beauty is in the midot and yirat shamayim. If your wife's actions, she doesn't have yirat shamayim, run away from her. Run away. She could be gorgeous externally, but the real reality is that she is really unclear internally. Her actions are bad. And so are you. You need to clear your actions. The real beauty of a person is that the midot are great. Yes, you can go to Scandinavia, you see beautiful people. They all look nice, tall and blonde and so on. You look at Jews, Jews, what can I tell you? But let me tell you, in the spiritual world, the Jews are the most beautiful nation out there. There hasn't been another nation that gives and supports and cares. If what they had there in Gaza, the United Nations of stupidity, they should go learn. Because if there was another nation that had 4,000 rockets blown on her, I don't care if they're, for example, in Mexico, they will turn 4,000 spitballs, the United States will nuke the down place. But they throw in Israel 4,000 rockets, and now they're going to have investigation for war crimes. I should drop a bomb on the United Nations if it wasn't in New York. לא עכשיו, אחר כך, סיפורים אחר כך. רגע, so for that says Rabbi Akiva, כי כל התורה על רגל אחת היא. What is the whole Torah? The whole concept of the Torah, ואהבת לרעך כמוך. And you should love your fellow Jew, your fellow human being as much as you love yourself. So when we are able to love the other person and ourselves. So the fact that you have some idiot Jews that go and demonstrate against Israel, that I feel bad for them. They should go to a shrink because there's something wrong with them. If you cannot have this balance, that's a problem. So when we are able to do so, this is our connection to the Ein Sof. This is a connection to Ribbono Shel Olam, and that is what is called hitalut, elevation. When you are able to understand that the other person is a person just like you, ki betzelem Elokim bara et ha'adam. We're all created equally. That's what comes the Zohar and teaches us. The Torah was giving us in Shnei Luchot HaBrit, by 2 tablets. Not because as that some people say, and I don't like the jokes about Jews. You know what? There were 2. Because God came to the Jews and he told them, I have a Torah for you. He said, how much does it cost? He said, free. He said, okay, can we get 2? I don't like jokes about Jews. There shouldn't be joking around. Judaism is a very serious matter. So why does he give us 2 Luchot HaBrit in Sivan? Why did he give us 2 tabernacles in the month of Sivan? The month of Sivan is Mazal Teomim. Chodesh Sivan, Gemini. The Siman is Gemini, Mazal Teomim. The 2, that they are one. You and me are one. Not me. Me and you are one. That elevation, that uplifting above selfishness, about separation, about the Yetzer Hara, about fears. There's nothing to be afraid. Help your fellow Jew. There's nothing to be afraid. Fear is a choice. Fear is a choice. Don't be afraid. I forgot who said it. I think Will Smith said it. I like it. I'll use it. I think danger is real, but fear is a choice. Okay, it's good. If it's good, it's good. So that's why maybe it says Be'alotcha et hanerot when we light the candle. So he said Lahanif. Now let's talk about the halotcha of the nerot. And it doesn't say Behadlikcha when you light them. It said when you lift the candles. Maybe the remez here that the candle, the remez that the candle represents the neshama, a soul. That's why we need to be able to reach those souls, those Jewish souls that have the potential, that the light did not shine yet from them. And only from that uplifting of this ner, when we're able to bring these people on board with us, only then the light comes, the candle comes, the actual light to shine comes. And then as Aaron HaKohen, uve'alotcha et hanerot, it says, velo be'adlikcha, when you light the candles, when you lift the candles, and not when you light the candles, because every action, every mundane action, when we do so the right way, could become a magical divine action. That's why it says Be'alotcha. Be'alotcha, the Gematria is 533, the same Gematria as Kav Zchut. Don't judge people. Help people. Don't wait for people to ask you for help. Make sure they don't get there. Have a great weekend. Shabbat Shalom. Anybody Kaddish?